Hey guys, so we're talking about some relevant equations in hitting. Often people want to talk about what the facts of the swing are, but what's more important is what are the facts of physics that govern the swing and how can we use those to optimize the swing. So the first equation that I talk about all the time is force is equal to mass times acceleration because that's the most applicable and the thing that's easiest to get your head around as far as athletes are concerned. But we're going to dig just a little deeper today, and we're going to talk about multiple equations that kind of are involved as well. And probably the overarching one, which is the one that you're seeing on the screen right now, that's most important is really just this basic mechanical power equation. Okay, so power is equal to force multiplied by distance divided by time. So it's basically power is equal to force times velocity, right? Because velocity is distance or displacement divided by time. So let's talk about what displacement divided by time really means, right? So essentially, if we break that down, the displacement is essentially, so d for displacement is equal to essentially the distance that your bat travels. So okay, time, that's self-explanatory. I'm just going to write t equal. Okay, so essentially this displacement divided by time is equal to velocity, which is why I said force times velocity equals power. Okay, so how do we get force now in this equation? So really, we've talked about this many times in articles in the past, but I'll just kind of loop it in here again. So force is equal to mass times acceleration. So what we can really manipulate in our swing in order to increase our power is really how much force we have, so essentially how much weight we're swinging with, and then how fast we're able to get it there. So those are the relevant things in physics. We talk a lot about the things in science that govern how hard we swing and how successful we're going to be. And when we talk about things like short to the ball or stay back and all these things, like we have to have a reason behind what we're doing here. And for my money, it's much more important that we understand the physics equations that govern how successful we're going to be and how much power we're able to exert. So this is one equation or kind of suite of equations that really are the meal ticket for hitters. So if we're able to maximize the outputs of these equations, then we can drive up our exit velocity significantly. So essentially, when we look at this force is equal to mass times acceleration equation, what that really means is that the more weight we swing with, the faster we move it, the harder we're going to hit it. And that, applies to this power equation too. So, if you're working on moving fast and you're working on moving a lot of weight fast, then you're doing the right things. And if you're doing drills that don't help you do that, then you're doing the wrong things. So it's important to keep that in mind, as you continue to move through your training process. So a couple other things that are super important to understand. So this is kind of what we just talked about here. Is the power output that we can accomplish in our swing. But equally important is the probability at which we're able to make contact. So let's dig into that for just a second. So the pitcher is standing on a mound. So here's the mound over here. Not a very good drawer, but the pitcher's here on the mound, okay? And he's going to release the ball from probably right here, okay? And home plate's down here, probably about 50, 58 feet, 57 feet, something like that from home plate. So if I draw this out, okay, so let's say that's 57 from where the ball is released because he's going to move down the rubber, okay? This ball is going to be traveling downhill like that. That 57 isn't really that important. And you might be releasing the ball, let's say, anywhere from 4 to 6 feet off the ground. This isn't an exact number. It's dependent on pitcher height. But the point is that the spot that the release of the ball happens is going to be higher than where the ball crosses the plate. Okay? and the spot that would be crossing home plate is probably like 2 feet off the ground, maybe 3 feet off the ground. So the ball's going to drop at least a foot. You know, if this is 5, depending if the pitcher's taller, probably is going to be more like 5, sometimes 6 if the pitcher's a lot taller. The ball could be moving down even more than that. So it's important to understand that the ball is a downward moving object, and we're trying to be in the way of it for as long as we possibly can. So this path that the ball is moving down here, okay, we want to be swinging, this path that the ball is moving down here, we want to be swinging up at the same angle. And usually this angle, now it's somewhat dependent on the pitch type and pitch location, but this angle that we want to swing at here is usually right around anywhere from an 8-degree angle up or a 15-degree angle up. Now it kind of exists within that range. So some curveballs that are slower, maybe have a tighter spin, can break down at a more drastic rate, which would call for a more upswing, right? So if we want to be in the path of the pitch for a long time, then we need to try to match the plane of the pitch as it comes in, and we have to make somewhat of a gamble about what we expect that pitch to be and what it is we expect it to be coming down at. Now this is true for baseball. In softball, it's a little flatter. We're working on a little different ranges, okay? So we still want to swing up a little bit because the majority of the pitches that we're going to see are not going to be rise balls, and the majority of them will be coming down a little bit as far as our swing is concerned. So it is important to swing up a little bit in softball, but instead of maybe that 8 to 15 degree range, as a softball player, we want to swing up at more like anywhere from like a 4 to 10 degree angle. That's ballparking a little bit. Some hitters that hit the ball for more power want to swing up more because that's going to result in more home run and extra base hit outcomes. But it's important to understand all of the components that govern the swing. We want to maximize force and we want to maximize probability. So not only do we want to swing the bat as hard as we can and exert as much force and power as possible, we also want to be swinging on the angle that maximizes our probability of hitting it, as well as turning our bat into the path of the pitch, which I'll write more articles about. That's a little bit harder one to describe here in the notes section, so I'll table that one for another day. But if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. Happy to answer anything that comes to mind. I hope you guys are having a great day.